Weird. So you said you had some things you wanted to talk about, diverging dimensions.
Dude.
Diverging and or converging, because here's the thing. If you've got, people don't realize, they're always like, no, the dimensions are diverging.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got an infinite number of dimensions layered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And two dimensions start to divert from other dimensions, what do? They converge on each other.
Correct.
So you have this dichotomy that exists that, I don't know. Is this a CERN thing? Is this a end of times thing? Is this a... Let's get canceled on this episode. Let's go.
Here's what I think, dude. So I think every single one of us right now lives in a simulation. Every single one of us without fail. And I believe we are a reiteration from certain points. Imagine like you have like your diverging lines, right? So I joked around. I did this. I explained this to somebody. This is my personal like
less of a... I'm having a brain fart now. Being born again, R word.
No, not resurrected.
Not resurrection. I had it in my mind, and then I went to say it. I'm like, shit.
Awkward. But
right? You know exactly what I'm talking about, though. Shit. It's going to come to me in a minute. But less of being born again, living a new life, and more like being respawned in a video game.
Correct. From a save point. So that's actually a really good analogy for it. So think about it. There are what we'd call canon events in your life. Imagine you're walking along a path. And time is linear, right? Imagine time is linear for a second. And it's not the spaghetti bowl that they told us about in the Flash movie, which I think was actually really good too. But it's a linear line. And you come to a certain point called a canon event. And from that canon event, you're going to make two decisions. You're going to have a yes-no tree, right? What happens if I prune this tree and I go on this path instead of this path? I fully believe every one of us is playing out this simulation and there's a prime you. So I call mine Michael Prime. And there's just separate versions, like a phone update. Like there's Michael version 1.1, Michael version 1.1.1. And all of those different Michaels have made different decisions to get to where they are. So now what happens when Michael, and this is where the joke comes in, I was like, I'm right now Michael version 69, right? I'm like, so Michael version 69 is interacting with Carson version, 583. And we're having this podcast. But the other versions of us have not had it up to this point. It's a canon event and it splits off. And that's why sometimes you start feeling deja vu. What if I said something on this podcast right now? I'm like, oh my God, I've said this to Carson before. But that's where your converging dimension comes in. You've done the same thing so many times, suddenly it turns into a canon event. And now you have a diverging point off of that. It's the same reason why we think that there is a higher power or a God. What if it's just you from a previous dimension or a previous timeline going through the exact same thing and then whispering to yourself, almost like a video game saying, don't do that? What if your consciousness is just you in a different timeline watching this unfold? It's a very
interesting. I remember the word, by the way, it's reincarnation.
Dude, I knew it was something.
I feel like such an idiot. But how freaked out would you be if you turn around and look behind you and there you were talking to you?
I fully believe that you would have a stroke because like you couldn't believe it.